radio app.
And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
Never say never, but never.
Oh, let's go. Out of bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, NCAA Regionals Baseball Week, and softball. We had Tyler Bratton on yesterday, associate head coach for Mississippi State. He was really good. They went and upset Oklahoma, best softball program in the country. Which was like Mississippi State beating UConn, whatever year that was. I think it was 2016 or 17. But, that was a huge win to go up there and win on their home field. They've dominated people, won a bunch of national championships. So it's a combination of baseball for Southern Miss and Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Ole Miss going to Nebraska, by the way. Very winnable regional. And then Mississippi State's back in Oklahoma City for their college, they were just in Norman right there, right? For their College World Series run against Texas Tech on Thursday is what Tyler told us yesterday. The Out of Bounds show is brought to you by Kessler Prime and the Renaissance, whether you want to go homemade hot tamales, the rack of lamb, which is amazing, or a porterhouse, KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation in the Renaissance. We're 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We're streaming live on thezone1059.com and the Out of Bounds radio app. We'll have Mike Detillier, Mike D, at 8:30 WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Yesterday we had Tyler Bratton on, associate head coach for softball for Samantha Ricketts. And we had Steve Robertson on it right when the Selection Monday was rolling out. We did a 10 a.m. to noon show. And so Steve was on. And really right when he came on is when the Mississippi State bracket kind of dropped with Lipscomb and Cincinnati. The Bearcats. What do you think about? Now, the last time I thought about like Mississippi State and Cincinnati, I can remember Ben Howland played Mick Cronin and the Natty in the hump. And Howland won the game in December. A friend of mine gave me seats right behind the Cincinnati bench. I mean, those are Mississippi State alums, but right behind the Mississippi State bench. I could have reached out and slapped Cronin on the shoulder.
Should have.
And I've said this many times. If you listen to the show on a regular basis, which I hope you do, and we thank you, is I have never in my life heard a coach dog cuss his assistants and players like Mick Cronin cussed his players that night. And I have sat behind both benches a million times. Okay. And it's not like Richard Williams would hold back. Okay. Or Nolan Richardson, or any number of coaches that I have witnessed and watched, John Brady, and the list goes on and on. But Cincinnati's in it, and then UL Lafayette, who's been good. I mean, they play down there. They love it. And South Louisiana travel ball is some of the best travel ball in the country. From one end of Louisiana to, I'm talking about, and I know they've got athletes in North Louisiana too, but South Louisiana plays baseball starting when they're 3 years old and then into travel ball because, you got to have men by the time they're 4, right? But, they play insane level tournaments, all in that from Baton Rouge to Lafayette and everywhere in between. So, and then Ole Miss goes out to the Nebraska Regional, very winnable. Ole Miss is kind of like Mississippi State. I'm still trying to get a read on. They're Jekyll and Hyde. They've got good players, both teams. They can beat anybody in the country. They've already proven that. Both teams got hot for a second. I don't know if I'd say they got red hot necessarily, but how many teams really did, especially in our league, other than Georgia? And I know Auburn and Texas were strong throughout the year, and I want to give them all the credit in the world. I don't really know, y'all. Both teams have a ton of talent. They have two veterans. I mean, this is nothing new for O'Connor and Bianco. I like what Tyler Bratton said yesterday, associate head coach for softball. I'll drop it into SEC baseball. You just played 10 super regionals. I mean, now I know a regional and a super regional are, I think sometimes we forget about this. They are light years different. But you just played 10 super regionals, Mike Bianco and Brian O'Connor, in the SEC. I mean, you may have had 1 week. Mississippi State got to play South Carolina. Ole Miss pulled somebody. I don't know. But other than that, you got to have your you-know-what together in this league, or you'll get embarrassed. They have big moments and then moments that left us scratching our head. They've got dudes that were recruited by everybody, both on the mound and at the plate. They spent money. Ole Miss 3.1 to 3.6 million, give or take. Mississippi State around 5, give or take. Yeah, and yet I still don't know. I know I'm supposed to know and come out with a definitive opinion on who these teams are.
Come on.
But I don't. Yeah, I like a lot of what I've been able to see from the 56 games that they played. I know they both played it.
Right.
One played 1 game in the tournament. The other one played 2 in the SEC tournament. But from the 56 game schedule, I liked a lot of what I saw. And then there was some that I don't hate, but I was just like, ooh, I don't know. But then again, Georgia looks nasty. Auburn is built, man. And Slosh in Texas, yeah. And we'll see with UCLA and Georgia Tech. But I watched UCLA play Mississippi State in Arlington. I watched it on TV. I'd flown back that morning. I watched the other Arizona State, whoever the hell they played on Saturday. But that was when McPherson was dealing, if y'all remember.
Right.
I mean, McPherson went over there to that loaded Arlington tournament with UCLA, Mississippi State, A&M, Arizona State, which Ole Miss and Arizona State play, this week in the regional in Nebraska. But I wasn't glued to UCLA baseball and Big Ten. I mean, how many innings of Big Ten baseball have y'all watched in your life?
I was counting.
What's the over-under here? I know you don't even watch SEC baseball.
That's a good point.
Now, I am expecting you to watch like 1 inning here and there throughout the weekend.
I can do that.
Okay. With the Dogs, Golden Eagles, and Rebs.
I'm all right
or
with that.
whoever, whatever big teams on Georgia,
Right.
Auburn, Texas, all these teams hosting.
I can do 1. I might get 3.
Isn't that funny? You go back, I was in Arlington. It's the beginning of the year. Dogs, Rebs, Golden Eagles are all excited. And McPherson was absolutely dealing. And then you lose him for 90% of the year. And now O'Connor's talking about him throwing 80 pitches Saturday night, 5 scoreless innings against a good lineup. Okay, I mean, Ace and them and Bryce Chance can hit. Is he, you're scared. Is he back? We'll see. But if he is, you may have a shot. All right, we're live in the Bank Plus studio.
trying to find some recruits.
A guy named Slice Bread.
Good morning. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by the Grab and Go breakfast sandwiches at Fleetway Market and the Market Cafe in Gluckstadt. Over 25 Fleetway markets in the state of Mississippi, locally owned, great Mississippi company. They've got grab and go breakfast and lunch. Plus, you can sit down at the Market Cafe and Fleetway Market in Gluckstadt. Check them out today. Brand new one in Clinton, open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Fleetway Market, Market Cafe in Gluckstadt. Grab a handful of breakfast biscuits this morning. And grab a couple for us, too. Bow Bounds and Double Down on a regional week. But also, we got football with SEC spring meetings. So, Lane Kiffin, Pete Golding, Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, Jeff Lebby, Kalen DeBoer. You know they're all playing card games, mahjong and everything together, drinking Prosecco by the pool, right? Getting some mani-pedis, right? You got the spa. I mean, come on. We've got a bond while we're together here for 48 hours going through spring meetings.
Pedicure's party, so.
Pedicure, okay. I didn't. Pedicure. What was the Paisley parties
Paisley
and Pedicure's party?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe we need a pedicure business or shop on the show.
We should.
Okay. All right. I've never gotten a pedicure.
Oh my gosh. What?
Do I need one?
Yeah. Dude.
Okay.
That's
I need a recommendation from our listeners on the Golden Moon Casino text line. 601-885-3776. Back to SEC spring football meetings. We talked about a steel cage death match at the Sandestin Hilton Pool. Cocktails are flowing, everybody's having fun, and then just something goes sideways. A game last year, maybe a recruit fighting over a recruit, and then we've got an all-out deal. So who would be, out of our 16 coaches, who would be in the Final Four and who would be the last two standing? We all seem to believe that Venables would be one of the last two. We're kind of in a debate over who would be the other guy. Elko, Lebby. Jackson won't put Lebby in there because of Lebby on the field. I think Lebby would be right there as far as fighting. Wes doesn't agree either. I think this 7 and 18 thing is hanging on this thing. Now, John Summerall, power lifter.
Yeah.
Kirby Smart, played SEC football, grinder, scrappy. Pete Golding, safety at Delta State, but he's not a big guy. But I think he could go low and take out knees and ankles.
Oh, I mean, we may be downplaying Kirby here.
Well, he's thick.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't. I mean, it may be on us that we don't have him in that top 2 or 3 because he did play ball.
I know. Not only did he play, he was actually. I mean, he started.
No.
Oh, he had a bunch of picks. Yeah, no. He started.
Hold on.
At Georgia for Jim Donnan. You can check it all day long. He started for the University of Georgia in the 90s.
On accident?
Yeah. No. I mean, his dad was his high school football coach.
Okay.
Then he went on to the University of Georgia.
Oh, that's okay. That makes sense.
And he started. I don't know how many years, but I think at least 2.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then took his talents to Florida State for grad school. Nice.
And got under Bowden.
Wow.
But don't forget, Mickey Andrews was the legendary defensive coordinator at Florida State for Bobby Bowden. And Mark Richt was the OC then who would go to Georgia, who Kirby would replace years later.
Yeah, he did, right?
Yeah.
That was their transition?
It was Mark Richt to Kirby Smart.
Just want to let you know.
They've only had 2 coaches in the 2000s.
Right?
In this century, they've only had 2 coaches. Mark Richt, Kirby Smart.
When did Donnan, when did he finish?
Around, Donnan did a good job, but he couldn't beat Spurrier.
Right.
So they let go of him, and they hired Mark Richt, the OC at Florida State. Florida State was obviously rolling under Bowden, Mickey Andrews, and Mark Richt. And, they went from Vince Dooley to Ray Goff to Donnan to Richt, and then Kirby's won 2
Wow.
national championships for him.
Okay. Just wanna let you
Dooley
know.
won one in 1980, only one with Herschel Walker
that's right.
because John Bond beat Bear Bryant right over here in Veterans Memorial Stadium
Yeah, you're welcome.
to give Georgia the path
That's right.
to playing for the national championship and giving them, again, Natties didn't count back then. I mean, it was a total, AP, but blah, blah, blah. There was no national championship game.
Right.
Whatever. And you had crazy stuff going on. But Georgia won it according to in 80.
Kirby,
And then didn't win it again until Kirby won it
Right.
at Georgia.
Ooh, long stretch. Kirby,
He won 2, lost 1. He's had a hell of a run at
Yeah.
Georgia. He's the most successful coach in the league by far
Yeah.
right now.
Period.
Now, we'll see what Lane does, and I don't think Sark's going to do it.
Oh.
And so I don't know necessarily that we have another national. I think we've only got 2 national championship caliber coaches right now. One could emerge in the league. Kirby's already got him.
Right.
And I think Lane is more than capable.
And Elko knocking on the back door.
And no, I don't have Elko knocking on that door. And so I have Kirby as an established national championship coach.
Yes.
And I have Lane as more than capable of winning a title.
Is that it? That's where you're stopping?
I'm stopping. Well, I'm not saying somebody can't do it. They got to prove. They got to show
Sure.
me.
Yeah. Okay.
Summerall's got to say go to
Yeah.
Florida, and in a couple of years, get knock down 8 this year,
Right,
9 next,
right.
and then I'll get that quarterback he wants and that edge rusher that he needs. And there's no reason why Florida can't get there. I'm not sold that DeBoer, he's a good coach, but I'm not sold that he can get Bama over the top, but maybe he can.
What is that? I don't even know what that looks like.
I didn't think Elko replaced his coordinators at a high level, which was disappointing. Especially when you're A&M. Don't act like you're Akron. Act like A&M. Yeah, that's where I am. Am I missing somebody that I think can win a title?
I mean,
Kirby has already won them. He's the dude. He and Ryan Day are, and, Signetti's kind of emerged, but with Harbaugh
Sure.
leaving to go to the NFL and Saban retiring, there's not a lot there. Lincoln Riley has it. Do I think Lincoln Riley's going to win a national championship? I don't. Do I think Dan Lanning can take it all the way to the finish line right now? I don't.
Wow.
Although Dante Moore decided to come back.
Yeah.
He should have gone and been a top 10 pick.
yeah.
Dante Moore, for our listeners, is the QB at Oregon.
No, I think you're on.
Kirby and Lane. That's where I'm stopping. Let somebody else, Summerall, DeBoer, Sark, Elko, show me.
Wow. Just want to let you know real quick, Kirby did get drafted
Really?
to the Indianapolis Colts.
What round? Like 7th?
He was all it says off-season practice squad. So he may have gotten
Well,
picked
that
up
may have
after.
been an undrafted free agent.
Yeah. But he hung around on the practice squad.
UDFA?
That's a lot.
Don't you like that acronym?
Yeah.
We love some acronyms in sports. Guys, like this afternoon in the neighborhood when you open an ice cold Budweiser, you got to throw out some, UDFAs and things like that, or some kind of baseball analytics. Something other than WAR
He was a 4-year letterman.
and something other than ERA. Go ahead. Sorry.
4-year letterman and a first-team All-SEC selection as a senior. Get out of here.
And you were
me.
discounting him
Yeah.
because he's white and he
It's
looks like a
small,
frat guy.
no doubt.
You were.
100%.
I told you he was a good player.
I definitely raised
He
his
made some
profile,
big picks for Georgia
I
in the
can't-
mid-90s. Mike Detillier coming up next. WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Good morning. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The show is brought to you by Sound and Communications. That's who you call for your next video wall, for your business, your church, or your school, university, college. SoundcomAV.com. We welcome in Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Mike D joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Mike, I want to read this to you, and then I want to get your thoughts. Ole Miss fans loved Twitter Lane, Portal Lane, and Villain Lane when it benefited them. Now that he's at LSU taking shots, suddenly he's arrogant, disloyal, and toxic. The reality? Lane didn't change. Just the jersey changed and the pullover. Your thoughts, Mike D?
Couldn't have said it better. And that's not going to change when he leaves LSU either. So, yeah, I think that's absolutely right. He's unique in college football because, you know, not many of the coaches really embraced the social media part of this and reaching out to a younger generation. Lane didn't grow up with it either, but he saw the change in how a lot of younger people get their information today. And to be honest, quite a few older people also. They get it through, you know, X or Facebook or Instagram, wherever you read the information. And so that's not going to change with him. And his personality, and that, you know, he don't mind poking himself and the bear
That's right.
at the same time. You know, it doesn't really matter. He's going to get a reaction from you. And so, yeah, I think that hit the spot, to be honest with you. Absolutely correct.
We talked about Eddie O last week, and he went on the Barstool podcast, which Lane had just been on. All right, so tell me what you think's happening here. Lane is not on X. Oh, he's on X. He's surfing it, you know, seeing what's happening, but he's not posting. How long do you think this is going to last? But still, he does a monster pod, one of the number one, number two podcasts in America. So I think it's kind of funny, Mike D. Somebody got him, which actually surprises me, to agree to stop tweeting. But he also went on the podcast with Big Cat and them. How long do you think this is going to last, Mike D?
Probably not real long. To be honest with you, yeah, he might have took, you know, kind of a week and a half vacation or whatever from it, but he's not staying off of that. It's just part of his persona, and so I wouldn't expect that that's going to last too much longer before he's back on it. And you know, for a lot of LSU fans, their deal is, I just can't wait for the season to start.
Right.
Because, you know, man, you caught in the swirl of the tornado here. Everywhere, you know, it's happened in the off season one way or another. And so, yeah, you can't wait for the season to start. And I know it'll get here fairly quick.
Yeah.
But that's just part of the show that you have with Lane. You know, he's going to bring you that excitement as a coach and a lot of offensive, you know, fanfare around what he does. But there's also going to be the other stuff, the collateral damage, so to speak, that happens around him. That's just part of who he is.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to accept it. You know, I hear about, and it makes me laugh because I was talking to someone last night about this, about, you know, the SEC would sanction Lane for comments made. You know, are you really kidding me about this? I'm not saying that they didn't maybe put that out, but in reality, look the attention it has gotten, the SEC over the past few months with Lane Kiffin going to LSU. Look the attention. You could not afford to pay for it.
No, and
Could not afford that bill if it came in, good or bad. Vince McMahon had a deal years ago about publicity, in the WWF. It was about, hey, listen, any publicity is good publicity. And I think, we live in that sort of society and that sort of world today,
yeah.
to be honest.
And I think you hit on it, Mike. Lane doesn't care whether he's poking at somebody or if somebody's taking a shot at him or making fun of him. He can go with it both ways. He's just like, hey, people are talking about me and whatever program I'm at, which is LSU right now, which is one of the biggest brands in America.
No question. The other thing that I think maybe would cause some trepidation in the SEC offices is it's almost like late at night and a dog starts barking and then 4 or 5 other dogs start barking. And you live out in the country like I do, those things happen. And you saw Lane bark a little bit. Next thing you know, you got Steve Sarkisian barking. And then you got John Sumrall. He's got to get a wolf in here and there. That's from Florida. So I think for SEC is maybe the commissioner is, hey, listen, I'm going to talk to the ADs and the presidents of these schools and say, hey, look, let's calm all this down for a little while. We got publicity, but we don't need every kind of SEC dog barking here, because now you set it off for the one to do it, and you would expect that it would be Lane, but then, Sark comes out, with his shot, and then, I've worked with John Sumrall for past few years. Every Tuesday we did a show on WWL. John's he ain't going to bite his tongue either about any of this stuff.
I love it.
Yeah. So, they all chiming in now. It's almost in unison.
Hey, for you and I, it's good. And look, I'm hoping over the next 48 hours, Mike D, down in Sandestin, that Lane jumps on Feinbaum or whatever and says something crazy, and Kirby may want to chime in, and maybe Sark and Summerall get back rolling, and who knows, Venable. Let's go. I mean, we want content and fodder and fun, and I don't think, even though I can't believe Burge was able, for our listeners, the new LSU AD, I can't believe they were able to get him to agree to even take a pause on X/Twitter, Mike D. But the next 48 hours, he gets to talk to people down there because Feinbaum, Dellinger, all these people are down there. There's no telling what he'll say. Right, Mike?
No telling. And, one thing with Verge, he's very calculated on what he says. He sort of thinks it out before he's going to give you an answer on any question. I had him on last month, and he asked me, how long do you think you'll keep me? I said, how long you want to stay? He was like, okay, I know your segments are normally, 14, 15 minutes. That's fine. I had him on 28 minutes. I said, sorry, Verge. Once I got you, I was going to keep you on a little while. But, yeah, I mean, that is just kind of the world we live in, that, you look at that article completely and that one take on Vanity Fair and, what it did not only for Lane, but what it did for Vanity Fair. When's the last time they had something, especially from a sports standpoint? I can't remember it, that really rolled with it, like what Kiffin said. So, everybody's looking for a story this time of year. You're right about it. It is part of content. And I always used to joke with Jay Johnson about it. LSU head baseball coach said, man, God bless you, because you give me content all the way until the end of June. Because 2 out of the last 3 years, his teams won the national championship in baseball. It gives you content. I can't say that this year. That ended fast. And then Beth Arena's team got knocked out I mean, they got knocked out over the weekend by Alabama in softball. So the funny thing is, the one other guy, and he's not done many since he's taken over the basketball position at LSU, has been Will Wade. Will's done just a handful of shows, and he keeps promising, I'll do it. I'll do it, big guy. I'll come on the show a couple of times. So far, not yet, but he's the lightning rod too, and now trying to do, I think, in a rebuild similar to what Illinois did, in that a lot of players from Europe that he's trying to bring in. So you're going to have to get some eligibility question marks taken out of the way first. But he's another guy that once it's going to start with Will, there ain't no telling where it ends up. He is content.
Yeah, I don't know what Goodman's issue is. I should have done a little bit deeper dive, but Goodman, I can't remember Goodman's first name, but National College basketball writer, has been all over Will Wade. And it's obvious he doesn't like it. Hell, he didn't like Rick Stansbury. And Will hired Rick Stansbury, so Goodman may just be all bent out of shape. But I can't figure out why he has such a burr in his saddle over the American gangster. Let the man cook, right, Mike D?
Well, my thing with it is Will didn't think of this all by himself. He ain't Columbus. Others have done it before him. And, about going after players from Europe. I heard Mike Krzyzewski say this, Coach K, in an interview with McAfee, that he thought that was going to be the biggest change he has seen in college basketball over the last 5 years, and he felt that would continue. So it's not like what Wade is doing is, out of the ordinary. And if you look at how Illinois had success this year in basketball, a lot of it was built on that. And you've seen other teams, they're going to do the exact same thing, and that's what Will's doing. It's not like, he's reinventing the wheel. So I don't get – that's a personal spot there. I think, that's more of a personal hit than just as a national writer going after the coach at LSU because he feels as though he's doing wrong. I think this is more of a personal deal with him and Will. Yeah,
I agree. It's Jeff Goodman who I was trying. He's a national college basketball hoops guy. And man, he's all revved up that Will's at. I guess it was okay when he was at NC State, but he's at LSU. Yeah. So what are we doing here? Come on.
Same thing, isn't it?
Right.
He's doing the exact same thing. He did that when he was at McNeese. He did that when he was at LSU before. So, I don't get it either. But again, sometimes writers, sometimes the personal aspect of things get into play here, and it can change your opinion. It's like anything else in life,
Fair enough.
Certain things happen, and your personal opinion gets changed.
Yeah, no doubt. Mike D, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Yeah, I would love to shadow Will Wade and Rick Stansbury for 24 to 48 hours. I got close to Rick when he was here. He did a magnificent job as an assistant coach under Richard Williams and then as a head coach with no budget. The money didn't kick in until right at the end of for the SEC, until right at the end of Stansbury's career. Can you imagine Rick with money at a program? Good. And now it's legal to pay players. You're not going to be able to contain Rick Stansbury or Ed Ogeron, are you, Mike D?
No, Ed said it best, in years past, you used to have to go, around to the back door to walk in with the cash. Now, they open the door and you walk right in through the front door.
I love it.
It'd be interesting. And, man, it didn't take Ed long. He's been on the phone with already a number of the top recruits, not only in the state of Louisiana, but who LSU is actually recruiting now nationally. So Ed didn't take him long, and he had a plan. He had always told me, hey, listen, if I come back, I know how to attack this now. Just watching from the outside looking in, I know how to kind of attack what's happening in college football recruiting today. And it's a transactional world. Him and I talked about this on the air, off the air about it. It's much more so than ever in our lifetime. But it's open transaction today. In the past, that stuff about, players not getting paid. Come on. That's long happened. I never forget, God bless him. We had Billy Cannon. Billy came on the show fairly regular before his health started to wane and he passed away. But he was very open about, in the late 50s, him getting money. People walking up, and he said, I'll be honest with you, I never knew what a money handshake was. But he said, I found out real quick.
Yeah.
After a game, somebody walk up, money handshake. And like you said, for a guy like him, grew up, you didn't have no money. And like you said, people today would laugh a couple $100, but he said, equate that to 1958 and 59. Somebody give you a couple $100. He said, I thought I was rich. That's how he put it.
Yeah.
I thought I was rich. But then, but Billy was quite the character, and man, had unbelievable stories about, him. He signed with two teams after he left LSU. Actually signed a contract with the Rams and with the then upstart Houston Oilers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And who signed him for the Rams? You'll never guess. The soon-to-be commissioner of the NFL, Pete Rozelle, who's the GM of the Rams.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang.
And the judge threw it out. Judge threw it out and basically made him a free agent again, and that's when he signed with Bud Adams and the Houston Oilers.
Okay. Wow. Mike D on the Out of Bounds Show. Mike, do you do pregame and postgame for LSU, or just one or the other?
I do pregame for LSU. We
okay.
It's either it depends on the time frame. It's either 2.5 or 3 hours.
Wow.
Of pregame.
Who do you do it with, Mike D?
A guy that's still complaining he wasn't on the cover of Sports Illustrated when Kevin Falk got put on. It's Herb Tyler, the former LSU quarterback.
Ah.
So Herb and I do it. It's we're going on. I think it's year 4 for us.
Hold on, Herb Tyler, who works for the SEC office?
No.
No, that's
Tyler,
Herb.
Former.
Yeah. Okay.
You talking about Herb Vincent?
Yes, my bad. He was like an SID or something for LSU. Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
He was at LSU for quite some time.
Yeah.
And so I always tease him about it because that was maybe one of Herb's best games ever. They defeated number 1 ranked Florida in Tiger Stadium. Yeah. It's the only loss Steve Spurrier ever had to LSU.
What?
He never lost a game to LSU other than that one.
Wow.
He rolled them. And talk about something personal. Okay, for Spurrier, he was upset that he got passed over for the head coaching job at LSU, and they decided to go with Mike Archer.
Yes, he told us that on the air because he also got passed over at Mississippi State, which is beyond me. But go ahead, Mike D. Yeah. Yeah,
and he always remembered that. Oh, one thing with Spurrier, the old ball coach ain't never gonna forget it. And he lost one game to LSU during his time frame at Florida, and it was that one. They were number 1 ranked in the country, coming in rolling, and they had a lot of breaks in that game for LSU. They made a lot of breaks, but Herb had a great game at quarterback for him, and Kevin Falk also. But Kevin got put on the cover of Sports Illustrated, so I always give it to Herb about it. But Herb,
that's so good.
Herb's doing great. Herb's doing great in the business world out in Baton Rouge, and so
Oh,
him
good.
and I, we like I said, it depends on what time it is, but it's normally 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on how or what time
Right.
LSU game starts.
No, that makes sense. Okay. And then you do pregame Saints. And
Yes,
yeah,
me, Bear,
Deuce.
Steve Geller, who does sports talk 6 to 8 at night. So yeah, the three of us.
Three of y'all. Okay. Yeah. Because I've seen you at Saints games set up. I hadn't been down to Baton Rouge in a while. Well, I've been, but not to a game. I used to go all the time. But okay. Man, that was fun. Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He's got a show every day with Bear, and then he does pregame LSU and pregame Saints, and like 19 other things too. But and he's about to go on the camp run. So I mean, he's about to do lineman camp, Manning Passing Academy, all kinds of different things this summer where we get to bring Mike back on. He gets to look at all the QBs that come in from around the country with Archie and Peyton and Eli and Cooper. And, of course, Arch will be there, but so will Trinidad and everybody else, and Sam Levitt. I don't know if Sam will be ready to roll there. Mike will know more than I will as far as, like, letting it rip. But that's 4 weeks away or something like that, so it's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, just a few weeks away. We've actually Louisiana Line Camp is sold out for the first time. We've never had this happen. Coach Don Rodriguez, along with the legendary defensive line coach Pete Jenkins run it, and we've never had it sold out 2 months or a month and a half before, but it got sold out two weeks ago. The numbers got to almost 900, and they only have 850 bedrooms sort of set up, so they're going to have to figure that out, and I think we've got a waiting list of almost 500. Manning has been sold out since November.
Wow. That's awesome. So Mike D will be on throughout the summer talking about we'll be, looking at the season, who's going to do what, win totals, all that. In fact, LSU is at 8.5. But we'll be talking Manning Passing Academy and all that kind of good stuff because you got Sam Levitt, a big name in Baton Rouge, and Trinidad, a huge name in Oxford, and Arch, a big name in Austin. Mike D, have a great week, my man. Thank you.
Thank you, Bo. Appreciate it.
At Mike Detillier on Twitter, WWL Radio TV New Orleans, pregame LSU, pregame Saints. Mike D joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Jake Mangum. Go with the home team. That's what he does. Farm Bureau Insurance. We are the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Also, we want to shout out to Flora Butcher. Great cuts of steaks, unbelievable seafood right there in Flora, Mississippi. And Rain Cellars is the wine and spirit store, same owner. Great selection of vino and premium bourbon, all in Flora, Mississippi.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Al Gordon.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Lowbound. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set. Let's go. The Zone.
I stick him the middle finger. There's no way I'm doing that.
Me neither. What's happening? Out of bounds. Out of bounds. ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
He's the big woof in the dog.
We're driven by your next GMC Sierra truck from Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon. Hit their website right now, FOWLER, FowlerGMC.com. We're live in the Bank Plus studio, Bo Bounds and Double Down on NCAA Baseball Regional Week plus Softball College World Series. Congratulations to Mississippi State. We're going to drop the Tyler Bratton probably next, okay? And, I mean, it was a good interview. Associate head coach, MSU softball under Samantha Ricketts. And Tyler came on and talked about how he's their number one recruiter, but Samantha's a big piece of the puzzle too. And they landed the number 3 portal class last year. Now they're in the College World Series after upsetting Oklahoma on the road in the Super Regional, the most dominant softball program in the country the last 10 plus years. So we got all that. We got Ole Miss heading to the Nebraska Regional. They'll play Arizona State in game 1. Mississippi State will play Lipscomb. They've already played them earlier this year. They'll play them game 1. And then is Southern Miss playing Little Rock game 1? Is that right? So Golden Eagles and Christian Ostrander hosting down in Hattiesburg. And you can hit a little Crescent City Grill and a little po' boy gumbo action down at Robert St. John's place. That place will be packed this weekend. As we move to Starkville, Mississippi State hosting in Brian O'Connor's first year. Exciting. And, there's been a lot of freak out in the fan base. And, but O'Connor and the Dogs hosting, and they absolutely deserve to. They checked all the boxes, all the metrics.
What about Arkansas?
I could make an argument for if Arkansas was going to take anybody's place in the state, it'd be Southern Miss, not Mississippi State.
I agree.
But Southern Miss earned theirs too, and you can fight about West Virginia getting one. That's fine, and whether or not Arkansas deserved it, but they're not going to bump you up to that extent if you're where Arkansas was for SEC tournament wins. I don't know why I see these guys on X that can't figure out that tournament is not going to drive you 15 spots up and into a host bid, or 10 really, but it's just not going to do it. But for whatever reason, we as guys, we struggle to shift with the times in sports. And another big shift that's coming in front of us is you played 8 conference games in SEC football for years, and you're about to play 9 conference games, which is going to even hurt the powers, Georgia and LSU. And I mean, everybody's going to have more losses. You're going to have way more 8-4, 9-3 teams, and there's not going to be an 11-1 team this year, and there's going to be very few 10-2. So that's just, it's going to be hard for us to, again, adjust and rewire our brain, because as guys, we kind of cap at about 15 years old. This is what we think about sports, and we struggle to do anything else with it. But it's going to be an adjustment with a 9-game schedule in SEC football.
Yeah, just losing.
That's a lot more losses.
Yeah.
And it's none of you are going to. It's for every team.
Yes.
You wanted to make hay the last few years. The one team that took advantage of everything was the Ole Miss Rebels and Lane Kiffin. no doubt. The teams that missed, LSU and Brian Kelly couldn't figure it out. Hugh Freeze in Auburn couldn't figure it out. Napier in Florida could not figure it out. Of course, the other mid-tier to lower tier, depending on what they're doing, Mississippi State and Arkansas and some others couldn't figure it out.
Did Georgia figure it out?
They
didn't capitalize.
No. Oh, no. Alabama did not figure it out.
No capitalization.
No.
It's
Capitalization.
No, you got to capitalize.
Let's capitalize
You got
this.
to capitalize.
All right.
How
Love,
could you say Georgia?
love this.
Georgia
Go ahead.
Not.
Look, Georgia's not they've been pretty damn good.
Well, yeah.
Have they said, and Kirby said, they haven't been close to what they were the last couple of years.
Right.
We know that. They didn't have the juice off the edge. They didn't have the juice offensive skill. Nobody jumped off the TV last year.
At all.
Offensive skill-wise. Running backs, wide receiver, Brock Bowers has been gone for a couple of years. We had fun with Stetson Bennett the fourth, but that he caught the tail end of dominating high school classes and the talent not spread out. Once it started spreading out it started the year after he left. It hurt Georgia and Alabama. But there's also a way to get right back where you want to, because they're still going to knock down top 5 classes every year. And I think that they are kind of figuring out those teams are figuring out the portal. Even Lane. I think Lane is going to go hard at it with high school. Like, he wants to kind of start dialing it down. He doesn't want to do 31, 33, 36 players. He wants to get down to, let's get down to 25 and 21 and 18 and maybe land in that 13 to 18 range.
That's ideal, is it not?
I think that would be ideal. And now that he hired Eddie O, LSU had already sent the signal and the message in January that they wanted to sign the number one. And why would you? You're LSU. That they wanted to sign the number one class in the country. And Southern Cal signed it last year. It's not like Lane and Eddie O and those dudes can't knock down the number one class. Now what did Mike Detillier, who's been friends with Eddie O since they were 6 years old, they grew up in the same neighborhood. What did Mike D just tell us? Eddie O told Mike, I used to have to go in the back door with the bag of cash. Now I can just go in the front door. Yep. Who's going to stop me?
Ring the doorbell.
Right. Hey,
I'm here.
I don't have just one bag. I got 2.
Right.
And if we need to go back out to the SUV, you just let me know.
If they don't pull the number one class, it should be a disappointment at this point.
I don't know. Number 1, number 2, number 3, what are we doing? Yeah. But
they will be high though. They're going to be a top.
Did you see he's hunting, flipping a Texas Sarks commitment wide receiver? LSU's going to get who they want. LSU, Georgia, Texas, and Ohio State are going to get who they want. Now we'll see what Dan Lanning and Oregon do and what Lincoln Riley and Southern Cal do. But those Georgia, LSU, and Texas and Ohio State are going to get who they want.
It's Oregon landed the biggest recruit this summer, though, right? Or with bringing Dante Moore back.
Absolutely,
that's number one.
So did Ole Miss with Trinidad. Those were huge gets to keep Dante Moore at Oregon and Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. 2 of the biggest off-season moves. You can call it retaining, but still, you recruited a backup player, and it worked at the most important position, right? And then we go to what? Left tackle, edge rusher, or a big boy wide receiver, or a Brock Bowers tight end. But come on. Trinidad staying at Ole Miss and Dante Moore at Oregon. We'll see how that looks. Are we going to drop the Tyler Bratton? We need to. We need to give Mississippi State softball some love. College World Series, baby.
You gonna show me the money.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Two Brothers, phenomenal restaurant and bar. Older Brother Bistro, amazing place. Barton Dinkins, award-winning pitmaster, and another fabulous restaurant in Starkville, Mississippi, Taste Italian Kitchen in Starkville and Ridgeland. This is 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We want to welcome in associate head coach for Mississippi State softball, Tyler Bratton, to the show. Samantha Ricketts, Tyler Bratton, the staff and the team go to Oklahoma, the most dominant softball program in the country the last 15 years, maybe longer. And they win a super regional and punch their ticket to the College World Series. Tyler, good morning. Congratulations to you and your crew.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on the show today.
Absolutely. So when did you and Samantha feel like this was a squad? I mean, before, you put together your roster the last year or so, and I know it's so transactional today and so on, but last fall, late winter, you start playing. Did y'all feel like y'all had a team that could make a run like this, Tyler?
We did, and it was, even when we had some close losses in the SEC, it was always, we just felt like this team was built for May. That was the big target when we, we did some portal recruiting this past summer and brought in the number 3 ranked transfer portal class, and it was heavy with arms. We knew that was going to be something we needed to bring in and really, boost our bullpen and that sort of stuff. And, we just thought that having different looks in the bullpen was going to give us a chance. Defense has been exceptionally well. I think after the regional weekend, we were number 2 in the nation in terms of fielding percentage. So, when Ron Polk will always tell you, pitching, defense, and timely hitting gives you a chance. And, it's just a matter of getting some timely hits. And, man, we've been able to execute and get some of those done here as of late.
Man, Tyler Bratton on the Out of Bounds Show, MSU softball. He's been with MSU baseball. He's been around MSU athletics for a long time. They're going to the College World Series. Samantha Ricketts, Tyler Bratton, and a just team of unbelievable athletes and players. All right, so you've been around. Y'all have had success. I mean, y'all have had a lot of success in this program.
We have. We've been close the last couple of years from knocking that door down, but
right.
It's kind of good to finally get that to go this year for us.
All right, well, talk about that. You obviously have a team. Look, when the Alabama footballs, Oklahoma softballs, UConn women's hoops, the list goes on and on. When they go on runs, sometimes even when you've got a good team, it's easily to take yourself out mentally because of the name on the front of the jersey. You obviously have a team they were not worried about that one bit. Why is that?
Well, I think one of the things now, too, is when they've joined the SEC, and even before Oklahoma and Texas were in the SEC, I believe we had played Oklahoma 5 straight years going into this. We had them off this year and on our regular season schedule, but another year in a row, we played them a bunch of times, I think 11 times going into this weekend, just in recent history. So it's a team we're familiar with. A lot of our roster is returning from last year's team, and we played a really close series at their place last year, Easter weekend. So we were familiar with that crowd. It's an incredible atmosphere there. Their fans really come out and support the Sooners and all that. Yeah. So it was something we were kind of used to a degree. But the thing about this league is it just prepares you for these moments. It's week in and week out. You're facing elite arms all the time. And you look at our SEC season this year, we had all of our 8 weekends were quad 1 opponents, every one of them, 8 weekends in a row, all top 25 RPI teams, and nobody else had that schedule. So we felt like, hey, keep the ship on the right track, get to May, and good things are going to come, and you're starting to see some of that really paying off.
All right, Tyler, you won the first game, and there's all this emotions, right? I mean, you go into Norman, you beat the best softball program in the country in game 1. They hadn't lost, they haven't lost a game at home in a super regional since like World War II. And so y'all win, and you want them to celebrate, then you got to kind of get them back locked in. You lose game 2. When you and Samantha were talking between game 2 and game 3, was there any doubt that they could get back up and punch the ticket like you did?
No, there was no doubt at all, and I think it was, we embraced the underdog role. Delaney had a great quote post-game yesterday on her interviews, that, hey, man, an underdog is still a dog, and that was kind of something that we relished at. We relished that chip on our shoulder mindset, and so it's kind of just another opportunity. But at the end of the day, we say all the time, our weekend series in the league is like super regionals. So we have 8 super regionals, and we've been in a lot of rubber matches this year. So it was kind of one of those where, hey, let the cards play, let them, go as they're going to go. And we got a pretty good team playing really good softball right now. Offense has really come along, and with our pitching staff and our defense, we're kind of always in the hunt. So we just thought we could get some timely hits early, put the pressure on them, make them have to answer back, something that a lot of teams don't do up here. They don't take an early lead on them up here, and we were able to do that early in the game. And then the important part was shutting them down in the first. We got the 2 spot in the top of the first, but Ella Parker hit one off the wall, and Tatum threw her out of second base. That was a huge momentum swing, throwing her out of second base and getting that shutdown inning in the top of the first, and then just being able to tack runs on. Once you start getting to 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, you started feeling like, man, we're in a good spot now, and all the pressure's on them. It's their place, it's their fans, they're rowdy, they're wanting to try to make something happen, and it was again an incredible environment. By the Sooner faithful here, and just as the game kind of went on, it kind of kept starting to play more and more into our game plan and into our hands there.
Wow. Tyler Bratton, MSU softball on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. They're going to the College World Series. They're in. All right, walk me through what's next, Tyler. Like, what's the schedule? What's next? What's happening for our listeners?
Well, yeah, it's kind of a unique opportunity, and being a former kind of travel guru, I did a lot of that stuff with Mississippi State baseball under John Cohen and, Butch Thompson and Nick Mingione and all those guys, and, the Omahas and all that stuff back in 2013. But this year's a little bit different. When we went to the Super Regional in Oklahoma, they actually had us staying in Oklahoma City. So we were taking 30, 35-minute bus rides every day to and from to get to the stadium. So with us finishing on Sunday, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to travel back to Starkville on Monday just to come back on Tuesday. So yeah, we're just hanging out here in Oklahoma City. We got the girls up this morning, checked out of our hotel, came to a little facility to do some batting practice, kind of get them moving around, do some foam rollers, do some band stretching, just kind of get them locked in on what it would normally be an off day, just kind of get them moving around a little bit today. And we'll go to the mall, kind of kill some time, and then we'll check into the new hotel that the NCAA has assigned for all the World Series teams.
Okay. Who do you play?
We've got Texas Tech. We open up the first game on Thursday with Texas Tech.
Wow. This is incredible. Tyler Bratton on the Out of Bounds show. MSU softball just went and beat Oklahoma on their home field. The best, most dominant softball program in the country. I got 1 minute, Tyler. What makes Delaney Everett so special?
She's got that dog in her. That her mindset is second to none. She's the kind of kid that can turn it up a notch. It's almost Rick Wild Thing Vaughn. For those Major League fans back home that have seen that movie from way back when, it's almost Wild Thing Vaughn. When she gets the ball in her hand and she turns around, there's this look in her eye that you gotta come get the ball out of her hand. She don't want to give the ball up. You gotta come take it out of her hand. And the more she gets into it, I thought her best inning was the 6th inning, and this is somebody that hadn't had any starts at all this year. It's kind of been Peja and Alyssa and Layla pretty much sprinkled throughout the year, and then Delaney's been coming on strong as of late, but she's one of those, as she kind of got into the game here, the flow of the game, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, I thought the 6th inning was her best inning, and it's just, she's special. She's special.
Wow.
Got the mentality built for it. Her mom and dad raised her that way. Her dad, he passed away a year ago, highway patrolman in California, just instilled this toughness, this mental toughness and this fortitude of her, and she's special, man.
Dude, that is awesome. Tyler, congratulations to you and Samantha and everybody in the program and all the players, man. And we'll be rooting for you Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on. Hell State.
That guy is one of the best recruiters in the country. Now, they've known that for a while, but he knocked down the number 3 portal class in the country. Tyler Bratton, MSU softball on the Out of Bounds show. Samantha Ricketts, Tyler, and the players beat Oklahoma in the Super Regional. They'll play Texas Tech Thursday in the College World Series. Steve Robertson at 11:30.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. I'm your host, Bo Bound.